Good evening, it's Joyful Christian Hermit. It's late, it's taken me a while to try to get coughing done. Several hours of coughing. So I'm trying to be joyful Christian Hermit here, and trying to fight away from wondering why on earth, with my bad spine, that doctor would not at least even give me a little inhaler to help. But no, not happening. So may have to find a different doctor. We'll see who can cooperate a little better with the old lady. He's maybe 20 years younger, but we sort of know our bodies when we're old. Wouldn't have been the end of the world, even a little puffer helped my lungs, but I'll make it by the grace of God, my guardian angel. So here, I shouldn't complain. Grateful to have any kind of help. We are grateful. So Adam of Perseigne, 13th century, or really early 13th century, died around 1221, but quite talented and not the typical cloistered Cistercian back then, because he was the abbot, but he was so talented he was utilized all over. In fact, I forget the name of it now. I should have written it down. It's a group that's still there today in different royalty throughout Europe. But he was the main one for France. But he got all of the European Union. It's now the European Union. But to help cooperate with the church and fight against heresies and uplift the Christian world. So he did great work for being a Cistercian that are supposed to be more quiet and cloistered in vows of silence, stability and silence for the most part. Not strict silence, not for the abbot and not back then. Just like Bernard of Clairvaux, who founded the Cistercians, he went on crusades quite a bit. So it's a different time period. And they aren't hermits. They're not hermit orders. There are really no such thing as a hermit order. But, they experimented with lavras back in the Middle Ages. And they're experimenting a little bit now through the diocese hermits. Some of the bishops or different people are just developing their own little communities of hermits. So who knows? That's a choice to make, to pray about with God, and what we ourselves feel for any vocation. Now, the monks in the Cistercian abbey would have been more, their vows of stability, in addition to being more silent, and they would do hand signals and things, and they do today in the more strict observance of the Cistercians. And same with Carmelite. The Discalcids are more strict on that. But here is the sermon for the purification of the Lord that Adam of Perseigne wrote. And I am, for all of his talent and abilities and giving of his life in all types of aspects for the church and for the building up of Citeaux. He ended up being the abbot of that abbey after, toward the end of his life. But, and they're not sure when he was born, but obviously would have been in the later 1100s or maybe mid 1100s, because he died in 1221. But he writes so with such enthusiasm and heartfelt love of God. That's why he was such a great leader, and influenced Pope Innocent III, Richard the Lionhearted, leaders of different European nations and territories back then, confessor of many, counselor to many in the church and in government, political people. So he had a great deal of influence. And as I said earlier in the previous video that I got off topic, going on different subjects, including more on suffering, and pray, pray, love, and forgive, and then live your life. He did that too. He lived a very full life, including his sermons. He was known for his religious fervor. So he writes here, or spoke would have been in French. The father of, or maybe Latin, I'm assuming Latin, they didn't speak the vernacular in the church back then. The father of lights, that's James 1:17, is inviting the children of light. I'm not going to give all these references because it's too disruptive to the flow, but it's all from Scripture, referenced in Scripture, New Testament and Psalms. So the Father of lights is inviting the children of light to celebrate the feast of light. Look to him that you may be radiant with joy, says the psalm. In fact, he who dwells in unapproachable light has condescended to become approachable. He has come down in the cloud of his flesh, that the weak and small might mount up to him. What a descent of mercy! He inclined the heavens, that is to say, the heights of his divinity, and came down by becoming present in the flesh with dark clouds under his feet. So poetic. I love it. A necessary darkness to turn us to light. The true light was hidden beneath the cloud of his flesh, a dark cloud by reason of its likeness to sinful flesh. Since the true light has made flesh his hiding place, let us, who are beings of flesh, draw near to the Word made flesh, that we may learn to pass by degrees to the spiritual flesh. Let us now draw near, for today a new sun is shining, even more than its wont. Up till now he was enclosed in the narrowness of a crib in Bethlehem, and was known by hardly anyone. But today at Jerusalem he is presented in front of a great number of people in the temple of the Lord. Today the sun breaks out to shine over the whole world. If only my soul could burn with the desire that inflamed Simeon's heart, that I too might be worthy of becoming the bearer of so great a light, the bearer of so great a light. But unless the soul has first of all been purified from its sins, it cannot go to meet Christ on the clouds of true freedom. Only then will it be able to rejoice in the true light with Simeon, and like him, to depart in peace. So we right there have our marching orders, our suggestions of approaching Christ, even though he came to earth to grow up, born in the flesh, and among all of us of sin and matter. with so much to learn and needing so much virtue, so much humility and faith and hope, and especially love. But for us to stay in the light and in the light of the living Word as well, to help us to draw near the Word made flesh and keep our hearts inflamed, that we desire Christ's light so much that we remain inflamed, like Simeon, who cried out, that now I have seen, and, I'm ready to die, that with that kind of ardor and assurance, recognizing God, recognizing Christ among us today and in our hearts, not forgetting to recognize He's in us, in all parts of us, especially our souls, and will fill us with light of strong will, the light of intelligence, and the light of love. So with that, I will close on this very late night of the presentation of celebration, when we celebrate in the Universal Church the presentation of Jesus when He was a baby at the temple, in the temple. Sort of equivalent of a baptism, what we would have as a baptism today. So God bless you all, and I'm going to remember to meditate on the love of God and to trust that God is allowing what He wills for me within reason. So could be worse, and to be patient. And this gives me more time to rest and read and to let my dogs just chill out with me, and for me to be grateful for their sacrifice, as really they're being service dogs to me now. Their lives aren't that much fun, although they did. Some of you have heard them roughhouse. Mercy sounds like she's hissing and snorting at the same time. The little one, she's the sister. Lovey just got a recessive gene and grew big, but he's actually six months and a half younger, and he takes orders from her too. So, but they roughhoused on the floor and leap up and down off the bed then, but and bring a lot of joy and a reminder of Christ's light, that He's with me in here through His created creatures. And there were lots of ducks that came up from the pond, and were in the yard, and that thrilled the dogs. They were up on the bed just barking and carrying on, so excited. And then Lovey would sit at attention, just quivering practically with delight, watching those ducks walking around, and was sort of crazy when we went out. I took them out in front because he can pull me down easily, especially now. And he was wanting to look for those ducks to chase them. So they're full of light and life and love. It's amazing how God's creation can love other animals. The plants have affinity with one another. Christ is in everything, and not in the same ways, obviously. We have eternal souls. And sometime, if you get a chance, read what Thomas, writes about animal souls and inanimate, plant. I think he calls them temporary souls or some temporal souls or something. They have a special name, but he gives them credence for having sense, sensation, and reaction, and an awareness. They say even to touch plants can be very healing and relaxing and alter human being systems. That I love gardening for that reason. It too has helped me manage pain for years. I got into conifers, touching the different needles and the little blooms that turn into pine cones. Some of those trees are one's called, I think, dragon teeth or dragon mouth or something. No, tiger. Something tiger. And it's like if you touch those, wow, it's like it's biting you. But others look like they're sharp, but they're very soft. You can just, they're like dog fur practically. So, God has delighted us with so much. That's something for the love of God. All that He's created for our pleasure and to lift us up, give us light, remind us of His presence, not only within us, all around us. So God bless His real presence in and around us. And have a beautiful evening. Tomorrow, it's at the Feast of St. Blaise for the throat healings. I'll call upon St. Blaise tomorrow. If you're awake, great day. If you're sleeping, sweet dreams. Much love from Joyful Christian Hermit to all of you.